I've been working at Brioche Dorée for years, slinging lattes and pastries to the hungry crowds. The quaint café, nestled on a bustling corner of the city, had always been a place of comfort for me. But lately, it had become something else entirely, a place of dread. It started small, as these things often do. An uneasy sensation settling in my chest like a brick when I stepped through the door. The subtle feeling that someone was watching me from the shadows. The place had always been dimly lit, but it seemed like the shadows had grown darker, thicker, as if they were alive, reaching out to touch me. One evening, as I was wiping down tables, I noticed a peculiar stain on one of them. At first, I thought it was just a coffee spill. But as I got closer, I realized it was shaped like a handprint, small and delicate, like that of a child. It was impossible. Nobody could have left that print behind. I scrubbed furiously at it, but it wouldn't come off. It was as if it had become a part of the table itself. My unease deepened as I continued to work. Conversations around me faded into whispers that I couldn't quite make out. I kept glancing over my shoulder, expecting to see someone there, but there was never anyone. Just the dark corners of the café, where the shadows seemed to gather. The next day, I arrived early for my shift. The café was empty, and the morning sun spilled through the windows, chasing away the shadows. It was the first time in weeks that I felt a glimmer of peace. I brewed a fresh pot of coffee, the aroma filling the air, and started setting up for the day. But then, as I reached for a tray of pastries, I heard a soft, mournful whisper coming from the corner of the room. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. It sounded like a child's voice, a voice filled with sadness and longing. I turned, but there was no one there, just an empty table. "Hello," I called out, my voice shaking. "Is anyone there?" No response, only the rustling of the paper napkins on the table. I took a cautious step forward, my eyes fixed on the spot where the voice had come from. And that's when I saw it, a flicker of movement in the shadows, like the silhouette of a child darting out of sight. I rushed over to the corner, my pulse racing. But there was nothing there. The shadows clung to the walls, undisturbed. I tried to shake off the fear that had taken hold of me, chalking it up to exhaustion or a trick of the light. But I couldn't ignore the feeling that something was terribly wrong. Over the next few days, the whispers grew louder, more insistent. They followed me wherever I went in the café, always just out of reach. I tried to tell my coworkers, but they looked at me as if I had lost my mind. They heard nothing, saw nothing. It was as if I was the only one haunted by the eerie presence that had taken up residence in Brioche Dorée. One evening, as I was closing up, I heard the whispers again, more distinct this time. They seemed to be coming from beneath the floorboards. I crouched down and pressed my ear to the wooden planks, straining to make out the words. "Help me," the voice pleaded, so faint it was almost a breath. Terror washed over me, and I scrambled back, my heart pounding. Who could be down there? Was someone trapped beneath the café? I rushed to the back and grabbed a flashlight, determined to uncover the source of the voice. I shone the beam of light down into the narrow space beneath the floor, and my blood turned to ice. There, in the dark, small, skeletal hands, reaching up towards me. The whispers grew louder, more desperate. "Help, please." I stumbled back, dropping the flashlight, and ran out of the café, not stopping until I was a safe distance away. I called the police, my voice trembling as I told them what I had seen and heard. They arrived quickly, but when they searched the caf, they found nothing. No one trapped beneath the floor, no evidence of foul play. I was left feeling like a madman, and I couldn't shake the feeling that the caf itself was toying with me, playing tricks on my mind. I knew I had to get to the bottom of what was happening, even if no one else believed me. I began to research the history of Brioche Dorée, hoping to find some clue, some explanation for the horrors I had witnessed. It was then that I stumbled upon a newspaper article from decades ago. The caf had once been the site of a tragic fire that had claimed the lives of several people, including a child. The child's name was Emily, and she had been in the caf with her parents on that fateful day. They had all perished in the flames, and their bodies were never recovered. The article mentioned that the caf had been rebuilt after the fire, but it seemed that the memories of that tragic day lingered, trapped within the very walls of the building. Armed with this information, I returned to the caf, determined to find a way to free Emily's spirit and put an end to the haunting. I brought with me a small bouquet of white lilies, a gesture I hoped would bring her some comfort. As I entered the caf, the whispers began anew. But this time they were not filled with fear and desperation. They were filled with gratitude, as if Emily knew I was there to help her. I placed the lilies on the table where I had first heard her voice, and then I spoke aloud, my voice trembling but resolute. Emily, if you can hear me, I want to help you. I want to set you free from this place. Please, show yourself. The shadows in the corner of the room began to move, coalescing into a faint, ethereal form. It was Emily, her eyes filled with sadness, but also with a glimmer of hope. Thank you, she whispered, her voice no longer filled with despair. I've been trapped here for so long, unable to move on. I reached out a trembling hand, and Emily's translucent fingers touched mine. It was a moment of connection, of understanding. Together, we began to unravel the dark secrets of Brioche Dorée. Emily had been drawn to the caf by the memories of her last moments with her family. She had been trying to find them, to reunite with them in death. But the tragedy had left a lingering darkness, trapping her spirit and causing the eerie phenomena that had plagued the caf. With Emily's resilience, we performed a ritual to help her move on to the afterlife. As her spirit began to fade away, she turned to me one last time, her eyes filled with gratitude. Thank you for setting me free, she said. And with that, she was gone, leaving behind a sense of peace that I had not felt in a long time. The shadows in the caf seemed to recede, the whispers fading into nothingness. Brioche Dorée was no longer a place of dread. It was a place of healing, a place where the past and the present had finally found peace. And as I looked out at the bustling city beyond the caf's windows, I knew that I had been a part of something truly extraordinary, tale of darkness and redemption, of a haunting that had been put to rest.